Frankly, Canada should be the 51st state, okay? It really should.
Since he repeated the 51st state comment about Canada, does this mean that a meeting with Trump or a phone call is off the table?
Look,
Donald Trump doubled down on his announcement to terminate trade talks with Canada that would have led to some, if not entire, tariff relief. He's gone so far as to now issue an ultimatum to Mark Carney that puts him in a very, very difficult position from a negotiating perspective. Let's take a look. Trump says trade talks won't resume until Canada drops certain taxes. U.S. President Donald Trump appeared to broaden his list of demands on Canada to reopen trade talks, listing his past grievances about Canada's supply management policies that control production and imports of eggs, dairy, and poultry. Mr. Trump made the comments in a pre-recorded interview with Fox News Channel host Maria Bartiromo that aired Sunday morning. Prime Minister Mark Carney and Mr. Trump agreed earlier this month at the G7 summit in Kananaskis, Alberta, to negotiate an economic and security deal within 30 days. This is not going how Mark Carney said it was going to go. Where's my surprised face when I need it? Remember during the election campaign when he said he's the man to deal with Donald Trump? And in our past video where we talked about the digital services tax, we talked about that, and we showed you a clip from it. But we're going to show you a clip of Donald Trump actually talking to the Fox News host, and the interesting thing is he mentioned something else as well that Mark Carney said was a non-starter. Let's take a look.
You said you're stopping all trade discussions with Canada?
Until such time as they drop certain taxes, yeah.
The digital
People don't realize Canada is very nasty to deal with. They've charged our farmers up to 400%, almost 400% on certain products and certain, things our farmers want to send in. They have to pay 200, 300, 400%. People don't know that. Canada is a very tough country to deal with. I will say that.
But
and I love Canada.
You have USMCA in place.
I know, but
you'll have to deal with it.
But USMCA is no good if they cheat.
What does that mean?
Well, there's been things going on that we don't like, and things going on where they took advantage. And hopefully we'll be fine with Canada. I love Canada. Frankly, Canada should be the 51st state, okay? It really should, because Canada relies entirely on the United States. We don't rely on Canada.
Okay, a couple things in there. So number one, Trump doesn't like the tariffs that Canada has on some of the goods coming in from the United States, specifically from the farmers. Now, there's one thing I do need to correct him on, is that it's not just a flat tariff, folks. What it is that Canada has certain quotas on how much of certain products the US can actually trade with Canada tariff free. So this is not just 400% on everything coming from the farmers from the United States. That's not in place. There are quotas in place that allow the US farmers to send their stuff up here, but there's quotas there in order to allow Canadian farmers to be competitive, because there's obviously a lot more farms in the United States than there is in Canada, and it prevents the United States from oversaturating the market with their products. Seems fair. But President Trump is positioning this as, well, any farmer selling any product to Canada, that is going to be tariffed at 400%. That's not the case. Now, this isn't just a Canada thing. The United States does this as well. So this is from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection website from the U.S. government. And this is just a snapshot where you can see that they have commodities subject to import quotas as well. Brooms, whisk brooms, other brooms, ethyl alcohol, milk and cream, olives, tuna, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So what does this mean? Well, it means that other countries that are trading with the United States have certain quotas on things, and that if it goes over that, then they are tariffed at a very high amount. And it's to do the same thing. So this is not new, and this is not something that, in my opinion, President Trump should really be annoyed about. Now, he's talked about this before, but he's never really threatened to do things over that. But he did go on to say something else, and I know you all heard it, where he said, well, it doesn't help when they cheat. And the Fox News host was kind of taken aback by that, and Trump kind of looked at her. And I am willing to bet this is the digital services tax. That's what he's talking about. When he's saying cheat, he means that Canada just imposes a tax on U.S. companies, and it's not in any prearranged agreement. And the other reason why I'm thinking that the DST is what he's talking about as well is because the United States has been trying to work with Canada in order to negotiate this digital services tax and what that would look like. But Canada got impatient. Chrystia Freeland said, I'm not going to wait anymore. And that's when the Canadian government implemented it last year. And that's what our last video was about. So I'm willing to bet this is exactly what he's talking about. So he is ticked off that Canada has not backed off on that. And now he has these digital companies in the United States that are going to be having to pay 2 to 3 years of back taxes by the end of June. So by tomorrow. That's what he's ticked off about. And so he is now saying, listen, I'm done. Get out of here. You stop this crap. Otherwise, enjoy all your tariffs. So this is the ultimatum. So if Mark Carney thought that the digital services tax was going to be a negotiating tactic or something that he's going to be able to barter with, he kind of just lost that as a bartering chip, because now that that's actually on the table to actually start discussions, never mind exchange it for any tariffs. So that's going to be kind of difficult. But let's talk about Mark Carney for a minute, right? So Mark Carney, remember, he said way back, March 21st, 2025, when they were talking to him about Trump referring to Canada as the 51st state.
U.S. President Donald Trump claims that he totally changed you and your party's fortunes. Is he interfering in our election? And since he repeated the 51st state comment about Canada, does this mean that a meeting with Trump or a phone call is off the table?
Canadians are going to decide who their next government is going to be. I trust Canadians to make those decisions. We'll have, I'm sure, a robust election campaign, and Canadians will make the choice. No foreign leader is going to determine who's best. One of the factors is going to be, in my judgment, who is going to be best for Canada in the negotiations with the Americans, which will come, but they're, from my perspective, they're not going to come until we get the respect we deserve as a sovereign nation. By the way, this is not a high bar. This is not a high bar to say we will sit down as a sovereign nation and have this negotiation.
So it's not a high bar. And I recall that Mark Carney had essentially implied later, well, you know, he's not referring to us as the 51st state anymore. He's referring to us as a sovereign nation. He showed me respect. And he tried to position that as, see, Donald Trump respects me. Donald Trump is going to bend the knee to Mark Carney. I'm the guy to deal with Donald Trump. And here he is. He doesn't give a crap about you, Mark. He really doesn't. What he does give a crap about is these stupid decisions that you are making or choosing not to make that are complicating an already problematic relationship with the United States when it comes to these tariffs. You really think allowing the digital services tax to move ahead is a good idea right now? That is not a good idea, especially when you're supposedly having these discussions in good faith with the United States on this comprehensive trade deal. And then you're just allowing this digital services tax to come in. What you should have done is said, listen, Mr. Trump, in good faith, we are going to pause the digital services tax. That didn't come under my watch. Why don't we roll this in to this full economic security and trade deal. And then Mr. Trump probably would have said, I appreciate that, Mark, and I thank you for that good faith, and you're going to build some good relations there. That's what a world leader does. This isn't just a business deal, Mark Carney. You're not just a business guy here. Get that through your head. You are the leader of a nation, and you need to stop treating it like a Fortune 500 company. That's not what this is. But you know what? By all means, continue to do what you've been doing, because you're going to end up accomplishing nothing, proving the Conservatives' point, and you are going to be going down in flames within 6 months when Canadians all of a sudden wake up and realize, hey, that guy promised a truckload of stuff, and we've actually seen nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then they'll realize that Mark Carney is actually worse than Justin Trudeau.